I'm Timotab, and today I'm going to solve Halloween Sudoku by rysmyth. Another Halloween puzzle, so I am wearing the appropriate shirt. And let us have a look at the rules. If you would like to try this yourself, it'll be the first link in the description. But the rules are, normal Sudoku rules apply. So we're going to place the digit 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every box. Draw a path through the cemetery from the ghost here to the pumpkin. That moves only orthogonally, so that means it can't move diagonally, so it can do things like this, but it can't do that. And doesn't touch itself even diagonally. So that means, actually probably easier that if I do something like this. Right. If that were the path, so that would actually not be valid because it's touching itself diagonally here. Okay. Burial plots are non-overlapping 1x4 L tetrominoes are placed around the cemetery. Each burial plot has a headstone at one end. So an example would be that could be a burial plot. Okay. The path may not enter any cell that is part of a burial plot, so my path can't go onto burial plots. The ghost must enter each box one time. So the ghost has to enter every box, and it goes into every box exactly once. So once I've been in a box, I can't go out and then back in. Each headstone contains the number of path cells in the surrounding cells, orthogonal and diagonal. So this digit here is the count of path cells in those digits, in those is the count of path cells in those 5 cells. The given vampire is part of a burial plot. X and V, the cells separated by an X sum to 10, cells separated by a V sum to 5. So those two will sum to 10, those two will sum to 5. Not all X's and V's are necessarily given. Okay, I am going to restart the puzzle to reset the timer, and let's begin. Oh, something has gone slightly funky. Let's see if I refresh the page. There we go. Not sure what happened there. All right. So, where do we start? Okay. This has a burial plot that this is at one end of. It can't go up. They're non-overlapping, so I can't go down here. So this has to go that way. And I'm going to use green as my burial plots. This is, actually I'm going to draw around that so that we can see that that's completed. All right, this is part of a burial plot, but the only one it can be part of is this one. So those 3 are definitely in a plot. Okay. The ghost can only move orthogonally. So, how does it get out of this box? It has to come through this box, and but it can't go into a burial plot. So the ghost has to come through this way. Those all have to be part of the ghost's path. In fact, I can mark those 2. At least one of these 2 is on the ghost's path, because otherwise that would be a 0. All right. Okay, if this went to the right, well, in fact, even easier. This here must go down because it can no longer go left. So those are part of a burial plot. Oh, and those are not. Sorry, and that's the outline for the burial plot. Good, there we go. So this can't go to the right, but it could go down, and it could go left. If it went left, how am I going to get the ghost in and out of this one cell? It cannot go left. This has to go down. So that does that. And we can mark that like that. Now this can't go left, up, or right. So this one goes down. And we can mark that in. And now the ghost has to come through that section. We don't know whether that one or that one is yet. Okay. Okay, we do know the path does not come down here and to here, because if that were the case, that would have a value of 0. So that is not part of the path. So I'm at least going to mark that with yellow. So it either goes that way or that way. Okay, let's see if we can start thinking about some digits. Those are from 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those are from 1, 2, 3, and 4. This has a maximum of 3 cells that can be part of the path. So that's from 1, 2, and 3, and that gives us a 1, 2, 3, 4 quadruple in this box. Those are from 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. Those are from 1, 2, 3, and 4 because of the 5. This is from 6, 7, 8, 9. I seem to have mismarked that by accident. So let's fix that. Right, that can be a maximum of 5. This is a maximum of 3. That, which makes this 7, 8, or 9. This is a maximum of 2, which makes that 8 or 9. That gives me a 1, 2, 3 triple in the row. That's very nice. Okay. Okay, this is a maximum of 2, which would be those 2 cells. We can't get there, but I don't know if I want to mark that as green or not yet. Oh, no, it has to be at the head. The headstone is at the head of the plot. So yes, that is in fact light green, and we can mark that off. And I don't know why I didn't think of that before. Okay. So this cell, because it is a headstone, it counts the number of path cells in those 5. So it's a maximum of 5. And in fact, because it's on an X, is a maximum of 4. And in fact, I could probably just go ahead and color those green because we know that that's true. Let's see. So we have a virtual 1-2 pair in this column because that's either going to be 1-4 or 2-3, and that will pair with this. Let's see. This is a high digit. Got a low and a high here. Right, this is a maximum of 3. So what I said was slightly wrong. I do not have to have an orange path cell here because I could have one there, which would give that a 1. So I don't know that I've got an orange in there as it happens. So that's 1, 2, or 3. Because there are 3 possible places. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Well, it can't actually be a 5, can it? Because for it to be a 5, all of those would be paths. And that means that it wouldn't have room to get out. Okay. All right. Okay. This cell has to be path because if it were not, then this cell has to be in order to make that a 1, but that would be a corner. So that has to be path. So this cell cannot be. Why have I marked that as non-path? Why did I do that? Comes up here. If that's path, then we must have taken this as a path, and then that would be a 0. Right. So that is legit. Therefore, this is path. And then one of those 2 will be. So that's at least a 3. So I can take out 1 or 2. That could be 5, which would make that 1. I don't see any obvious reason why that can't be. Yeah, that could get the 3 there. How would this be right, this can't be path, because I can't get in and out there. And so it's definitely not orange. I'll mark it as yellow or green. If it's green, it's part of this burial plot. If this burial plot went eastwards, then in fact that's not the problem, it's this one. That one, if that one goes north, then I can't get this path out. So that does not go north, that goes west. That makes that all green, and I can mark in my plot there. And now, if this one goes north, I can't get the path through. So this one does, in fact, go west. That, get the right mode. Those go to green. This now could still go east or north. But that can no longer be a 4. That's a maximum of a 3. That's not 6. Our path does in fact go through those. This is now a maximum of a 3, which would be those 3. That can't be on the path. Okay. All right. How can that not be on the path? If that were not on the path, then that and that would be a cul-de-sac, and that would have a 0 value. So that has to be on the path. And likewise, that has to be on the path, because otherwise that would be, those two would both be cul-de-sacs. Okay. This digit, we actually have a digit. 1, 2, 3. That's a 3. That's a 7. That can now not be a 3. That's a 1 or a 2. That can't be a 4. That's a 1, 2, or 3. That gives me a 1, 2, 3 triple. Very nice. So those two add up to 5, so these two need to add up to 5. So that can't be 1 or 2. That makes that 3 or 4. And, oh, no, let's try that again. There we go. So I need a 4 in this row, and it can't be in either of those two, so one of those two is a 4. Okay, so this digit is the same as this digit, which is the same as this digit. Yes, those two add up to 5. So those two add up to 5. So yes, those three digits are, or those three cells contain the same digit. So I am going to mark them with a green circle. So now one of those three is a green circle, and one of those three is. Which means that, so that's the other of 1 or 2. Give that a green X. The other of 1 or 2 goes in there, so one of those two is the green X. All right. One of those three is a green circle. One of those three is. Okay. So if that's path, then that's path. And we end there. Because if that's path, then that's a 2, that's a 1, and then that has to be a corner. And that's going to be problematic. Okay, yes. If this is a path cell, then that makes that 2. That makes this 1. This now has to be a corner. And that's a 1. Um, but that being a corner means that this would then be a 2, but that would make that a 3. And for that to be a 3, those would have to be both orange, and that would have to be path as well. So that is not path. So that is a yellow cell. That is a 1. That is a 9. That's a 2. So one of those is going to be in. Okay. That's a 2. That's a 2. That's a 4. No, that's not a 4. That's a 3. That is a 1, 4 pair. One of those is a 2. One of those is a 2. I am going to take out the X's and O's now. Okay, they did their job. All right. That is no longer a 2. So that's not an 8. All right. Right, that is not a 2 because remember that one of these is either 1 or 2, and then that'll be a 1 or a 2. So that's not a 2. Right, this here can't have a 1, 2, or a 3 on it. So that is a 4, 6 pair. That makes this 4 or 6. Very nice. That can't be a 1, 2, or 1. Sorry, it could be a 1 if that's a 9, or that has to be the high digit. So that would be 1, can't be 6, so that's 7, 8, or 9. But it won't be 8 because this can't be a 2. So this is 9, 1, or 3, and this is 1, 7, or 9. Okay. So that's either 1, 9 or 3, 7. So I have a virtual 7, 9 pair in this column. Okay. Let's see. Right, that has a 1. That has to be path. One in this box is in one of those two. Okay, that's either 1, 4 or it's 2, 3. So I have a virtual 1, 3 pair in the row. So 1 and 3 are not in any of those. 1's not there or there. 1 can't be there because that would make that a 9. So one of those two is a 1. That was an unexpected find. Let me just double check that. Those can't be 1 or 3. My virtual 1, 2 pair in the column means that that can't be a 1. My 1 in this column means that that can't be a 1. My X means that this can't be a 1 because that would have to be a 9. So yes, one of those is a 1. That's not 2, so that's not 3. That's not 3, that's not 7. Right. One of those is on the path. One of those is on the path. All right. No, that's not true. Both of those are on the path or neither. So if both of those are on the path, then the path does this. And it has to do that, and it has to go there. And it can't go up, so it has to go there and into there. And then it has to do that. That seems reasonable. If neither of those are on the path, then that goes up. That then has to do that. It goes up there, though it goes there, and then one of those two is on the path, but it can't be that one because that can't be a 2, so it'd be there. Did I miss a count along here, perhaps? All right, if both of those are on the path, that has to be on. It has to go this way. That'll be a 2. That gets none from there, so this will be a 1, which would force it round that way. That would have to go there. That would make this a 3. That would be a 1 or a 2. So that would be off the path. Interesting. There appears to be something I'm not quite getting. Let me just double check. No, I think I've got everything all right so far. Okay. So those are 5, 6, or 8. Those are from 4, 5, 6, or 8. That 3 is those 3. That's still 3, 4, or 5. Okay, if this is 3, it does that. If this is 1, it goes up there and then must go left because I can't enter here because then I would finish off. So is that the key? So I either do that or I do that. If I do that, I have to, if I do that, I have to go to there. Then I have to go up because I can't make this 3. Then that's on. Then I need to do that to make that 2, there, and that all seems good. That then forces this one and this one to make this No, it doesn't. I could just skip it entirely. No, that would have to be 3. Right, if that's a 1, that's a 3. So that forces those two, which forces that one. Making that 3, that would be a 1-4 pair, that would be 6 or 9. That would then be 3 or 5. Okay. That is not getting me where I want to go. Have we got more places for 3s? 3's in one of those. I've got a low digit in one of those. Okay, if that's a 1, that goes up. Okay, if that's a 3, then that's a 1-9 pair. And if that's a 1, that's a 3-7 pair. So I have a virtual 1-3 pair in this box. So I have a virtual 1-3 pair and a virtual 7-9. So in fact, if I look even closer, that is a 1-3-7-9 quad. Okay. That feels like I should have noticed that. Those two are the same color. I don't even know. Oh, so that's right. There we go. That's the key thing. That can't be a 3 because either that is the grave or that is the grave. So that is a 1. I still don't know which way the grave goes yet, but I do know that that is a 1, so that goes there and that goes there. That makes that orange. Now, that has to go here because that has to be a 2, and now that forces this to be a grave, and I'm pretty sure that has fixed a bunch of stuff. Right. Oh, how did I do that? Oh, because I was... Yeah, there we go. So now this is grave, and I've deleted the border. There we go. All right. So now those two are orange. That's orange. I still don't know. Yes, I do, because that is now a 3. That forces those to be orange. Can't go up, so I must go to the right. That is not a 3 or 2. That's a 1-4 pair. That's not 8. That's not 4. So either both of those are in or they are both out. These all become yellow. They're not on the path, but they're not grave. Right, that's a 1. So that is now a 2 or 3. This must now be on the path because I can't get that one and not get that. That means that that is not on the path. So I either go down there or I go down there. All right. That is 7 and 3 and 7, making that a 1. That makes this a 9. That one makes that 4. That's 1. That's 9. This 3 makes this a 5. That means the path takes those cells, and these are all off the path. Okay. Okay, that can't be 1, 4. I can't have 1, 4, 3, or 7 on that. So that must be 2 or 8. That makes that a 1, which matches the way our path goes. Okay, this ought to be closing in. That's not a 4, so that is 2, 8, and 6. To complete the column, and that one's not a 2. Uh, 9 is in one of those two, but it's not this one, so that's a 9, and that is 5, 6, or 8. Okay. 3 is in one of those two. So this digit is going to determine the path. That's not a 4. That's a 2, 3 pair. So that's not a 3, and that's a 2, 3 pair. And that is a 5, 8 pair to complete the box. We get a 5, 6, 8 triple. That's a 7. That's 9, 5, or 8 for the row. So one of those is a 6, and that one isn't. Okay, the burial plots have been made with a headstone at one end. The ghost enters each box one time. We just don't know the path here yet. The headstone contains the number of path cells. So that is correct, that's correct, that's correct, that's correct, that's correct. We don't know about this one. That's going to determine the path. Okay. So, must be Sudoku. We need a 3 here. We need a 7 and 6 in here. That 6, 7 means that that is not a 6, and that one is. So that's 2 or 8. One in this row must go here. What have we got going on here? It can't be 1, 9, and it can't be 3, 7. So it's 2, 8 or 4, 6. Can I see why it can't be one of those? I don't... well, that one can't be a 2, so that one's not an 8 because of this 2, 3 down here. Okay. 4 is not in any of those by Sudoku. So either that's a 4-6 pair or that's a 4, with that being 2 and 8. Okay. Those are not 7 by Sudoku. So 7 is in one of those two. That places a 7 here. Nine. No, no, no. 1 is in one of those two. Right, this is, that 2 makes that 8, and that 2, that makes that 5. That is a 6-8 pair. That is a 5-9 pair. That makes that 8. That's 5. That's 8. Okay, that looks a little better. This is an 8. This is a 6. These are 2, 4, and 5. That can't be a 5. If that's a 2, that's an 8, which it can't be. So that's a 4. That's a 6. That takes 4 out of there. That makes this 4, this 6, and this 4. That is not 4. This is 6 or 8. That's actually an 8 because of the 6 in the box. So that's 6. That's 4. Okay. These are 5, 7, and 9. And that one's not 7. And I still think I don't know. That one's not 9, so that 2 makes that 5 and 2. That makes that a 3, which makes that a 2. That must be our last orange cell. Okay. So those are all yellow. That's not a 3, so that is... These two are 5, 7, 8. That one is not a 7. These two digits are 9 and 6. Okay, so one of those two is a 4, and that means that the 4 in this column must be here. That is an 8 or a 9 to complete the column. It can't be a 6. In fact, 6 in this column must be here. That makes that 9. That's 5. That's 9. That's 8. 5 here. That makes this 7. And I get a 5-9 pair. Get an 8 over here. These are 4 and 5. No, 4 and 7, and I do not know the order. Okay. So this 8 is looking up. That's a 6. That's an 8. That sees 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't see 5. Sees 6, 7, 8, and 9. So that's a 5. That means that one of those two is a 5. Those two is a 5 there. These 3 digits in this row are 2, 6, and 8. So that's a 6. That is a 2 there and an 8 there. That's a 2, that's a 1 from my pencil marked 2. So that's a 4, that's a 1, that's a 4, that's a 7. We need a 7 here and a 9 here. That gives me the 6 and the 7 here. And this cell is a 9, giving me 5 and 9 here. This 2 looks down. That's a 3, that's a 2, that's a 5, and lastly we have a 3. And that was a delightful little puzzle, if a little more challenging. It would have helped if I had remembered about the grave plots. But I figured it out eventually. So thank you for the super fun puzzle. If you enjoyed this solve, then please hit the like button. You can subscribe to see some more, and I would love to hear your comments. I'm looking forward to next time. Be seeing you.